so I'm very excited to bring out one of our newer products. It was about a year and a half, I guess just under 2 years ago that we announced the acquisition of Base, which then became Sell. And last year we threw our first conference solely around the sales and support organization. And now we are integrating Sell and Duet into our programming. And so it's very exciting for me to be able to bring up on stage Matt Price, who's our SVP and General Manager of Zendesk Sell. Matt?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So how do you spot the guy at the conference who runs the sales product? He's the guy wearing the suit, which is excited to be here. Within the next 25 minutes, I've got 3 guests. We're going to give you a product update on some of the new technology and a quick whistle-stop tour on some of the things that have been happening in the last year with Zendesk Sell. As Mikkel said, our vision for Zendesk Sell was to really try and change the way that sales software works and take it from being just a form-filling bureaucratic exercise for salespeople and actually a tool that they actually want to use. And by putting the conversation at the front of the product and gathering all of the information from all of those different channels, so I can start an email, I can change the conversation to a text message, and all of that is in one place, what we saw was some pretty interesting things happening. And that was the fact that more of the conversation was being captured, because it was easy for salespeople to actually have the conversation take place within the product rather than outside of it. And with mobile apps, it also means that salespeople don't have to be stuck to their desks, that they can actually take calls from customers wherever they are. That information that's stored within the product actually enables a lot of other things within the organization. It allows managers to really understand the context of what's happening within a relationship. And when that information, that conversational information, is then transposed into other areas or other products, such as the support product, then we start to get another wave of context that's available to reps. And we'll talk a little bit about that with some of our guests that we've got coming on today. So Zendesk Sell is pretty popular. In fact, what we do is when we have new customers that have gone live, we run a process called Tech Validate. And some of you might be aware of it, but it's a survey and it asks a whole bunch of questions. And we run 600 of these surveys at the beginning of the year with customers. And they reaffirmed that they really like some of these things. They like the ease of use for salespeople. And in fact, they've got some quite interesting data on it. Just by starting to use a different metaphor for the way that sales products are used, then they were reporting that they were getting 15% lift in growth within their business. And actually, 80% of them were getting their sales software up and running within a week, which pleased us, because this is the sort of business value that we want to drive. And also, it's part of the philosophy of Zendesk is to get customers to value very, very quickly. But we did get some feedback from customers saying, yeah, that's all very nice, and it goes live very quickly, but when we want to change things, when we want to integrate it into other areas, it's getting a bit costly. It takes a bit of time. It's a bit inflexible. So for the last year, we've done a lot of work on enhancing and continuing to enhance the way that the product is extensible. And that forms the basis of our announcement today with applications. But we've continued to figure out ways in which we can carry on the conversation within other areas. So app mentions within the product means that you can flag at any time and bring somebody else into the conversation from an internal organization. And then, of course, we're fully integrated with support, which means that customer information flows backwards and forwards. So today, we're really excited to announce applications for Sell. And for those of you who have been using support, it's highly likely that you're already using applications. And applications are interesting for 3 perspectives. Firstly, they provide a really useful way of extending an application. So within Apps for Sell, as you'll see later on, you can very easily plug in information from other sources or tune the user interface to what you want it to do. So for example, if you want to give a custom view to a salesperson on how they're doing against quota or against their target, you could put an application in there or pull information from other systems. And we're really excited that we're launching now with a number of applications that can just be plugged in that are part of that ecosystem. In fact, Zendesk Support already has over 500 apps available to it. And many of these vendors now who have developed applications for Zendesk Support are taking those applications and tuning them slightly such that they can work with Zendesk Sell as well. So for example, the Box application allows you to store documents associated with the deal, but it will automatically create folders around that deal or around a particular customer that can then be shared around other groups. So this is exciting. In the last year, we're also delighted that we've brought on a number of new customers, and a number of those customers are innovating within business models and using Sell to be very agile within that process. And so I'd like to bring on my first guest today, who is Bernard Desarnauts, and he's from Rinse. So Bernard, come on stage and understand how you're using sales and support. Hey, Bernard. It might not have escaped your notice that neither of us was born here. So we've got our own little version of Brexit going on right now.
Yeah.
So, Bernard, Rinse, what is it?
Rinse was started 6 years ago in San Francisco to provide a more convenient solution for dry cleaning and laundry. We are operating now in 5 markets in the US, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. And the goal of the company is to just obsolete the washing machine. I mean, we'd like one day to think that people would reclaim the space of their laundry room to do something more interesting and give us their laundry. I'm glad you didn't bring me your dirty laundry, though, Matt, today.
Well, I am actually a very happy Rinse customer, so thank you, Bernard, for doing my laundry. I appreciate that.
We also wanted to extend to all of you today a special offer. If you want to try Rinse, if you're in one of our markets, go to rinse.com/showcase, and you'll get $30 off your first Rinse, which can cover a first service.
Excellent. We're always adding value within Zendesk Sell sessions. So the interesting thing about Rinse, as obviously I've got to talk, I've been a consumer of the service, and obviously I love it. It's an excellent way and a very convenient way to take care of something that was a chore in the past. And obviously I'm a consumer of your service, but what's interesting to me is how you've expanded your business, and now you're looking at B2B as well as B2C, right?
That's right. The company is still very much focused on being a consumer service. What we did, though, earlier this year, we started a business-to-business initiative, reaching out to companies. We created a packaging of our product and service that we call Rinse for Business. And we mostly leverage, so I'm in charge at Rinse of product and the customer experience. And we basically leverage the data insights that we had from our systems to realize that we already had pretty high penetration in specific markets of employees within those companies. And we figured, let's accelerate that. And how to accelerate that was to create a package that we can now bring to HR organization, people who do total rewards benefits, to enable Rinse to all their employees by not only combining what we do with our service to consumers at home, but also doing pickup and deliveries at the office.
Yeah, and this is a trend that actually at Zendesk we see with a lot of our customers who are in B2C businesses and then start to extend their route into B2B. And I guess the natural shift from that is obviously you have a customer service team that's used to supporting consumers, right, but you need a sales team to sell to businesses, right?
Yeah, we clearly very quickly, so the project started with me and the CEO and another person doing some growth hacking type work, and very quickly we had to expand beyond from a team standpoint from that, and to also expand on the tool side we were using Asana and Google Sheets and Slack, and that was clearly not scalable. We were losing insights. So very quickly we decided to, without making a huge investment in terms of people, we created a team within the company, and we started creating the processes and the workflows, and we needed a CRM system to do that, and we chose Sell to power us through it. And the main reason was really the ease of use and ease of implementation. We literally were up and running within 2 weeks from the moment we decided to use Zendesk Sell to the moment we were starting to be productive with it. So that was really a very big selling point for us. we didn't have to think about hiring consultants and other people to try to determine, our workflows and whatnot. We were able to go up and running super fast.
Now, what's interesting to me is obviously you started at the business as in product,
Yeah.
and now you have product and customer service and sales, right? So
Yes.
I want to ask what next, but that might not be the right thing to do. But I mean, as a product guy coming in and looking at customer service and sales, did it give you a unique perspective of how to operate and how to use information from those teams that already existed?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. The insight we got was from the CX side of things, where every day we see hundreds of interaction with a customer. We realized that we could, if we were going to sell this to companies and to the employees, we had to create a separate tier system. So we basically, the way it works today is for the reins of business customers, their employees are treated like consumers, but with a twist because they have additional benefits and SLAs.
So you use your existing customer database to narrow it down to a segment of people who you could use from there to then sell your service.
Yeah, so that was the second step in terms of the prospecting piece. By definition of what RINS does, we attract people especially in San Francisco, early adopters who tend to be people in mid to high level position in target companies. And we studied their behavior, we studied their NPS with us, and then we were able to target some of them to open up the doors to their own HR organization. It's been extremely productive way of getting the initial momentum.
So you took your own customer database, obviously you have that within your app and the product, but then you got information from support and enriched that customer list, narrowed it down and said, oh, these are our target customers, here's a consumer potential we got, right? They're satisfied, and then now we should go and reach out to them, right?
Correct, and we're automating this as we go along as well, where we have a dynamic view of the data. So when we prospect a new account, we have the ability now, we've added the rich capability of Cell so that we can automatically mine our database, our customer database, to find employees that are already using the system. So instead of having an empty conversation when we talk to an HR leader, we can say, X number of employees already use RINS, and this is what we've learned from it, and this is things that might be of interest to you guys. So it makes the sales cycle much more efficient, at least in this early stage. And in terms of your question, the goal is as we scale the product and we prove it, we're still in this phase of early experimentation. The goal will be to bring a dedicated sales team, though I won't be probably running that forever.
Okay. All right. Anybody who wants a job running sales at RINS, talk to Bernard after.
Probably.
But the final question, your favorite app?
For Zendesk Cell, right now the easiest one for us is Google Drive. That was an easy one to plug in for us.
Okay, fantastic. Bernard, thank you very much. And
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us today. We see a lot of this evolving, actually. I was speaking with Kate Leggett, who works for Forrester, the analysts, earlier today, and Kate was telling us that the trends that we're also seeing within Zendesk, which is the notion of the lines blurring between sales and service. So when we first launched Zendesk Sell, we knew teams worked side by side, but what we didn't realize how much selling customer service people ended up doing, even if they didn't know it, and how much supporting salespeople did. And in fact, we recently did a study, and we said, okay, of all of the salespeople and service people, what's the overlap? How many of you use each other's tools? And we found that 80% of people needed to use each other's tools, but a lot smaller number than that were actually doing it. And the reason we found was that for somebody who's an occasional user of a product, you don't want to have to pay a full license or full seat for, which was why we decided to launch Duet. And as those of you in the keynote earlier today will know, our primary goal that is to make sure that the economic decision is put out of the window, and you can really just start to use them. We're starting to see some really interesting use cases. So we're starting to see where people had been doing customer onboarding workflows within support and trying to string together triggers in order to do that. They now use Zendesk Sell because Zendesk Sell is very good at putting a structured onboarding process together. We processes where when customer service people sometimes have a quiet time, then they can now flip into Zendesk Sell and start to do some outreach to customers to see how their trials are going. So by removing these artificial commercial barriers, what we're starting to see is the blending of use cases around these different tools. So it's not just about sharing information, it's about having the flexibility of teams as well. And so this pairing of sales and support from a product perspective is obviously interesting. But what's also interesting to us is the pairing and the relationships that go on between sales and service, and how are those dynamics created. And in order to help me talk a little bit about that, I'd like to welcome up my next guests, who are Brandon and Lukas from Rockbot. So guys, come on up. Nice guys. All right, so quick quiz before them. Which one's the sales guy, which one's the service guy? A bit of a clue, you got it right. So, guys, Rockbot, what is it? Have I heard about it? Have I experienced your product before?
Probably if you've been to a restaurant or a bar or a hotel around this city or many others.
No, I never do anything like that.
We're smarter media for business, so we provide commercially licensed music as well as TV, to everything from corporate offices and apartment buildings to all the main places you'd think of, like stadiums, amusement parks, restaurants, hotels, fitness. So about 15 different verticals that we work with.
So if I'm in a bar in the city, I'm hearing music played, it's probably you guys providing that service.
Yeah, many of them, and I think like 5 of the 10 best companies to work for use Rockbot for their kind of employee common spaces.
Nice, okay. So in companies as well. And so your customers are businesses, right?
Generally.
And that's one. So, Lukas, so from a customer experience perspective, what is it that these companies expect? I mean, and I know you've started to look at the customer experience, not just from a customer service perspective, but right through the life cycle from salespeople. Tell us about how that works.
Yeah, I mean, coming in and working on customer experience, we've got so many different things going on, from support to success and sales, and it's all part of the same customer journey, and that's what we're working through. I guess there was maybe a metaphorical time where we threw things over a fence and didn't know what was going on with support or
look
sales.
At you guys now on stage together.
And and it's the sales team's job just as much as the support team's job to do support and to do sales and to help the customer throughout that entire journey. Yeah. And that we've used the tools through Zendesk to really improve that and make visibility a massive opportunity there. That fence is maybe a glass wall now.
Yeah.
We've been able to have our salespeople involved in kind of our franchise organizations. We have a lot of franchise organizations that have crazy structures. Some of them need support, some of them are still in the sales cycle, and so building that out as one customer is a massive thing that we can track and maintain and understand in one tool.
Now, I talked a little bit before, and we've talked a lot about Zendesk, about conversations, and Brandon, I know we were talking about this, about how sales is always about conversations, right? And a lot of it, though, is having the right conversation at the right time. And tell us how the integration between sell and support helps that.
On our side, it's just being able to know what's happening down to the details with the customer. And before we had the integration and all the visibility, we would be calling somebody and find out they had an internet outage this morning and their music cut out, and it was just not a good time to be giving them a call. And so we're able to understand that and make sure that we're either helping or waiting for the right moment when they're happy. And on the same side, we also get past a lot of opportunities now as well, where support identifies that a customer just had a good experience. Maybe here's they're opening some new locations, things we might not have been aware of. And now it's just green light, pass it over. We know that whole conversation, and we can engage on the sales side really easily.
Yeah, and I guess, Lukas, from the other side, service engineers and support engineers can see what the salespeople have been doing. They can see what they promised, right? Promised the customer.
Right, of course. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's you got to backtrack as to what service they even need. It didn't get done all the way, or maybe there's a problem that's related to one thing and not another. Yeah. We can actually see that from the sales conversations, even listen to the sales conversation if we needed to, and that makes a big difference from support's ability to deliver on that promise and provide a good customer experience.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, obviously I started to use Zendesk Sell recently as well, and it's this. I totally underestimated before this when I was using a CRM system where the rep had to put their own notes in, which they were never that good. But go into the context of actually being able to hear the conversation that went on, or actually see the customer's feedback in their own words, gives that whole new perspective of tone and conversation and how we start that support conversation or service conversation as well, I guess.
Yeah, no, for us, I mean, it's been a game changer being able to review sales calls and have those in there and have CS see them as well. I mean, we used to spend a lot of time trying to coordinate shadowing and all that, and now we're able to drill down into the 3-minute zone and they also share that with success and make sure they know exactly what that customer's pain point was.
Great. And so what's next? I asked you, which apps are you most looking forward to?
We're really excited about apps. I think we both have a couple. We're 80% inbound business, so we use HubSpot, and it's where all of our inbound leads come from. And so having more visibility in Sell for all the reps to be able to actually see where that customer came from, how much time they spent certain places, lead scoring, all that information you can do on the front end to really inform them is going to be really exciting. And I'm also excited about, we're both excited about the order form PandaDoc stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that on our side, the sales team can generate an order form and kind of do the whole quote to cash process. With an integration with PandaDoc, we're going to be able to not only generate that and build it out all the way through processing on the support side, which is the team that's managing most of that, but the sales team will have 100% visibility into where that is, and is the doc signed, is it fully processed, has it been approved, what's going on with everything, and it's right there in Sell, and they can see it. And my team also on the success, which is part of kind of what I'm managing as well on the success side, they're able to look at that from an account review standpoint.
Great. All righty. Guys, thank you so much. Look forward to hearing your company the next time I visit a bar.
Thanks
Rock
a lot.
on.
Yeah.
Thanks again. So, I mean, what we've been able to hear from Bernard and Lukas and Brandon is really how, from a business perspective, this merging of service and sales is really coming to life, and how the conversation is not just about conversation with customers, but conversation between sales and service, but also conversations outside of that as well. And I wanted to now just welcome on Josh Bean, who is going to take us through how this looks in real life. How does this actually come to life within the Zendesk product? So Josh, you come on up. I'm going to hand over to him. He knows this much more than I do. So Josh, come out here, and I'm going to take a little break.
Thank you, Matt. Well, I'm so excited to share with you today apps in Zendesk Sell. Sell has always made it easy to track all of your conversations with your prospects and customers. The activity feed clearly shows you all of your texts, your emails, and your phone calls, even with a recording and an outcome. And this allows anyone on your team to clearly understand what is happening with that customer or prospect. And earlier this year, we also brought support into the conversation. So this means a support agent can see all the relevant deal details, and a sales rep can see all support cases, whether they're in Sell or support. Additionally, if a support agent has a ticket which is sales related, they can click a button and send that over into Sell as a brand new lead. But as you think about all of these conversations and keeping them in these tools, you begin to ask yourself, what are these conversations about? And when you dive into it, you frequently see these are about a pending contract. Maybe it's a recent purchase that you made online. Perhaps it's a campaign that marketing sent out. Could be about a support ticket or some type of document that you're collaborating on. And traditionally, this exists in all these different windows, and you find yourself bouncing around trying to understand what you're talking about with your customers. And that's a problem. So with Zendesk Sell, we've brought the apps into the conversation. So as you're having all of these conversations with your customers, you now have apps with information about what your conversations are about. The apps live on the right-hand side of your screen, and you have the ability to expand them, collapse them, and even reorder them. So let's take a look at a few of our new apps. We're really excited to have apps like the Zendesk app and the MailChimp app, which allows you to see all of your recent campaigns that were sent. You can see if it's been clicked on, if it's been opened, and you can even subscribe someone to a brand new campaign. You can do this all within Zendesk Sell. We've got apps like the PandaDoc app, which bring the e-signature component directly into the sales experience. Sales reps can see outstanding agreements, you can see the status, and you can even create a new document directly from Sell. And for all of your other document needs, Google Drive is a great way to store relevant files alongside your leads, contacts, and deals. And when it's time to actually collect the money, the FreshBooks app allows you to create new invoices, view collection history, and even see upcoming invoices. This ensures that everything stays up to date. I've shown you a few of the apps that we're introducing as a part of the early access program, and we're really lucky to have partners like GetResponse, Shopify, HubSpot, and many more who are joining us for the program. The apps that I've shown you today are available now through the early access program. We're also accepting a limited number of additional partners, so if you'd like to build an app for Sell, we're beginning to open that up. If you're interested, stop by the Sell booth today, and we'd be happy to show you around and to get you signed up for that. I can't wait for you to get your hands on the brand new apps for Zendesk Sell. In about 15 minutes, we'll also be walking through a deeper demo of them over at the theater booth, so join us there as well. Thank you so much. I really think you're going to love them.
Thank you, Josh. And thank you, everybody. Obviously, please join us in the booth. Please get a demo of Zendesk Sell and Duet working together. Get a trial. Do we have socks? Yeah.
We do have socks.
And of course, we have Zendesk Sell socks as well, at the booth as well as here. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.